everyone, this is Joshua with Motion Crafts, and this is very exciting because this is my first video with the animation stamps, but it won't be the last because I just had a great time making the projects with the animation background stamps. So this video will be an introduction to the new die cut set with the animation background dies and the 3 different background stamp sets. So as you can see here, we have 3 different background stamp sets. This one has the hearts and a little circle that expands. It's really cool. This one's probably my favorite one. It has the rotating wheel on the top and then these bars down below that will move up and down depending which way you move your grid. The last one we have is another rotating wheel with little checkerboard and of course the stars on the bottom. So let's get started making the project, but I will show you the finished ones first so you can get an idea of what we're going to be making today. The first one here is a Easter card, and I use the rotating wheel as you can see, but it just looks great with the little Easter bunny, and in the background you can see the wheel rotating. So I made 2 of each card, one with our black animation grid and one with the colored grid using the die cut to make the animation grid. That one has the pink, and this is the square window with the little fox, one of our new sets that you'll see later. And here I used a red animation grid using the die cut as well. So those are what we're going to be making today. So let's get right into it here. So we're going to start off with a standard A2 card, and I'm going to lay out my window and the slit next to it. And you just want to make sure there's the same amount of space between the edge of your window and where the slit is, and then the slit to the end of your card. You'll see why this is important later, but that is where your tab is going to go, so you want to make sure there's enough space there. So I die cut on the inside of the card because I don't want there to be any marks on the front, so it's safer to do it here on the inside. So again, I'm just going to measure with my eyes and make sure there's enough space there, and we'll use some tape to make sure the die cuts don't move. And one thing that is important is that you can make this with the pull tab on the right side or on the left side. So if you know that you're giving this to someone who's a lefty, then you can put this slit on the left hand side, or you can also do it on the right. In this video I'm going to do it on the right side, so you just want to keep that in mind when you decide to die cut it. Both ways will work just fine. So as you can see here, we finished die cutting, and this is how it should look. You're going to have your window and your slit. I always keep that little scrap paper that I die cut out of the window just in case you want to use it for some embellishments. And now we're going to go ahead and die cut the tab. You can use coordinating paper or any paper you want to use. It's very simple, and it does emboss right down the center, so it's very easy to fold. So I'm just going to fold it in half here, and I will use the bone folder just to make sure it's nice. And then we'll start measuring the animation grid for the window. So what I did here was I just used the 4x6 animation grid that you get included with every stamp set and every die cut, and I just cut it in half. So we don't have to measure, it's just very easy. You just cut it in half so it's a 3x4. So now we're going to attach the grid to the tab, and I'll use some double-sided tape. I'll put it on both edges of the tab so it'll be a nice secure fit. And so when we're placing it, you just want to make sure the grid is covering the whole window. And when we go to attach the tab to the grid, you just want to make sure that the tab is not going to go into the window when you're moving it back and forth. I think the best way to measure is where you folded the tab should be just inside the edge of the card. And so I push it down, make sure it's nice and secure, and our pull tab with the grid is ready. So now we're on to the best part of the project, which is stamping with the animation stamps. I always like to stamp on the white cardstock beforehand, and we're going to use some VersaFine here. The animation background stamp is one large stamp, so you're going to need a larger block. But as you can see here, we stamp onto white cardstock first, just so we can make sure that we get a nice clean image to use in the project. So this looks good, and we're going to test it out here. As you can see, the hearts are moving quite nicely back and forth. It's supposed to have like a continuous motion, and so pretty happy with that. So the next step will be to cut that white cardstock in order to fit inside of your window. So now that we have the card cut, we can kind of check to make sure that everything is lined up straight. And so what I'll do is I like to place the pull tab with the grid where it's going to go in the card. So you just slide it into the slit that we made earlier, and you can line it up, and you can see that everything seems to be working great, and I'm very happy with that. But I want to show you guys some of the other things we can do. So I stamped the star background also, so I want to show you what that looks like. And so just to show you that there's a lot of different ways you can use these. The stars look really cool also. Look at that, how they move back and forth. It's just so much fun each time we do it. But even better, I stamped the hearts in a color. So you can do the hearts in red. You do see the red coming through the black, but we can also use red cardstock to cut our own grid. We have a die cut where you can cut your own grid out of any paper. So I used a red paper that matched the ink. As long as you have a tone on tone, you'll get a really great animation effect, as you can see here. So I'm just going to show you how we attach the tab to the animation grid, and it's just a variation of the same project, but using a colored grid. So I'm going to use the same measurement method. I put double-sided tape on the tab, and I'm just going to line up the grid to make sure it covers the window completely. And so you just push down on your tab, make sure it's nice and secure, and then you're going to slide the tab into the slit, and we're just going to make sure everything's working properly. And it looks like everything is working great. Look at that. So nice and so colorful. It's just amazing. So for the rest of the video, we're just going to switch back to the black, and we're just going to finish off the card, but I just wanted to make sure you guys saw that there's a lot of different ways you can use these. So I'm just going to glue down the card with the black hearts, and to make sure that it's lined up in the window, I use double-sided tape or a tape roller, whatever you want to use, and just made sure it's nice and secure. And we can move on to the next step, which is to secure the whole card and the system. So what I use to secure the grid is a foam tape strip. These things are just amazing. It's another item we've added. They are foam tape strips cut to size, about 4 inches long. They are about 3 millimeters wide, so they're very skinny, but they work great for any kind of pull tab system you're going to use for the animation stamps. So I just put double-sided tape along the folded edge at the top, also the right side, and the very bottom. So I just like to make sure the whole thing is secure and taped up nicely so the system is very strong. So as you can see, everything works great. The hearts are moving, it looks very fluid, and we're going to move on to just add the final touches to the card. And I'm going to show you a new stamp set that we have. It's called Hello Friends. and it has two little foxes, a little owl, and I love this set. I love using it with the backgrounds because you have the animated fox along with the regular fox in the same set. Everything has the matching component. But for this one, we're just going to use the regular fox, which is colored really nicely by my wife, Luciana. I will not take credit for coloring that, but it looks amazing, and I just like to line it up and see which one I want to use. So I'm just going to look really quick at the other fox and see if it might go better with this project. So here's the other fox from the set, and I'm going to put it on here to see how it looks. But that's what's so great about these die cuts, is that you can use any characters that you have already in your stamp collection. So as you can see here, these are the finished products. This is the one with the red die cut grid. I did cut the grid a little bit longer, as you can see here, and if you watch our next video, I'll show you how we did that exactly. But here I just added the hello friend little sentiment in the bottom left. I used the hello friend from the same stamp set as the foxes, and it was just a little finishing touch I used with the fox. Also, I used the tree trunk, so it looks like he's standing on top of that tree trunk. Again, that was colored by Luciana. And so your last thing you want to do is just paste your character onto the stem there, and it is complete. Of course, you can add many more embellishments, and you can do all sorts of things. And I just can't wait to see what you guys create with these die cuts and with some of our new stamp sets. And this is just a little taste of what's possible with these new designs. So again, this is Joshua from Motion Crafts, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'll join me for the next video, I'll show you how to make the 2 Easter cards with the circular die cut window in the same animation background die cut set. Well, that's all for now. Please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to catch all the videos, and you guys have a great day.